Come.
Their job is to get you your money back.
It's about to get physical.
It's an arrestable offence to stop me doing my job.
If you've been ripped off and don't know where to turn,
We need to deal with it now.
We're going to remove vehicles to that value.
If you're acting on his authority, pay it.
if you've been to court but still not been paid what you're owed,
Are you going to open this building, sir, or am I going to force entry into it? You need to pay this.
it's time to call the sheriff.
The drag on me. I'm going to call the locksmith, effect entry into the premises and remove all the items. Whoa.
They're enforcement agents of the High Court, and the law says they're on your side.
It's collected 42 grand.
Coming up, Sue Bodkin's van broke down after just a few days.
I was left without a van and I was devastated.
Sheriffs Lawrence and Kev visit the garage that sold it to her. Can they get her what she's owed?
You need to sort this out today, or we will strip this garage bare.
This one going?
Yes.
This one's going, sorry, man.
In London, the sheriffs are evicting squatters from a barricaded building.
I've got a writ of possession for the property and you're getting evicted this morning.
But as tensions rise, can the eviction be completed peacefully? And sheriffs Daryl and Mark are in pursuit of an old adversary with a huge debt.
I was gobsmacked. It's a figure in excess of 7 million.
But where is the elusive debtor?
He's done one. He's ran upstairs and hid.
Not all the writs enforced by the sheriffs involve getting money out of people. Sometimes they turn their skills to enforcing judgments which concern getting people out of buildings. Like today in Greenwich, South London, where a commercial building has been occupied by squatters. It's part of a growing problem. Since squatting in residential properties was criminalised, a wider range of commercial buildings are being occupied, like this one.
Well, yeah, I've snapped those.
This morning, the sheriffs face a real challenge. The building has been barricaded. Leading the eviction is enforcement agent Conrad Van Zyl.
We don't know how many occupants are inside. We've got a locksmith. With a High Court writ, we've got the power to force entry and obtain possession back to the client.
The landlord wants to redevelop this one-time photographic studio, but this is the second time squatters have occupied the building. It has several entrances, all with high security doors.
We're just assessing around the building, and as soon as we find a suitable place, we'll attempt to go inside.
The landlord supplied a locksmith, but the sheriffs are going to try and charm their way in first.
Hello? Hello? Anybody inside?
There's no response from inside the building. The landlord's locksmith will now try to force entry. The new approach gets some attention.
Good morning, mate. Got a High Court writ of possession for the property. You've been evicted. Do you want to waken everyone up?
Excuse me, what are you doing? I've got a writ of possession for the property and you're getting evicted this morning.
Yeah, but nobody gave us papers or anything.
I've got a legal document that gives me the power to obtain possession of this property.
You better start packing your belongings.
Defeated by the jammed lock, the locksmith is going to try the second door. Meanwhile, some of the squatters have come down into the alleyway.
I've got a writ of possession for the property. Yeah, you can have a look at it. No.
While Conrad talks to the squatters, the locksmith attempts the second door.
I'm showing it to you. One thing, I'll show you.
Put your camera away.
This time, the outer door opens.
At the minute, they've barricaded the property from the inside. There's a couple of them on the side of the building, and we now attempt the negotiation process to see whether they want to open or not.
At the alleyway fence, the squatters are claiming they should have seen paperwork. But the sheriffs know that a live High Court writ is all they need.
Can I see your paper, please?
Say again.
You would like have one copy of this paper?
No, that's not how it works, mate. That's not how it works. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
No, no.
Is that how it's supposed to be? Because
It's not how it works.
We are in democracy.
Well, there's no point shouting from up there, show me the papers, and I've got it in my hand, is there? Come on down, I'll show you. I haven't got, like, massive arms to give it up to you. Come on down, I'll show you.
The roller shutter has been jammed from the inside and won't open. It can't be saved.
We just cut it with a grinder. Just go through it.
Meanwhile, the police have arrived, called by the squatters.
Yeah, I don't know.
I tell you what it is. There's my badge.
Yep, lovely.
That's the the writ from the High Court that gives us the power to enter the property this morning.
Right.
The locksmith is still unable to get into the building, but the squatters have got out.
Well, why did you come out?
Yeah.
Let's talk, yeah? No, listen, I'm going to explain it to you, yeah? Stop talking over the top of me. I've already explained to your colleague. Listen, this is a High Court writ of possession for this property. You're in a commercial building, you're squatting, okay? Right, writ number 66. Claimant, the person that owns the property. Defendant, persons unknown, i.e. you and your colleagues, right?
Yeah.
Bit about the Queen, bit about the authorised officer. Tells you a bit more what I'm commanded to do, which means I've got to cause the claimant to have possession of this property, which you're in. What else would you like to know?
They are still arguing about the legality of the eviction.
No, there's no talking to be had, real lawyer. You're being evicted.
I think it's my.
No, listen.
We are still in democracy.
No, listen.
Officer,
Okay, okay.
This one.
Excuse me, you keep telling me you're still in democracy, yeah? This gives me the power to remove you. You're unlawfully in this property. Simple, okay? I've showed you it 2 or 3 times. I've told you who I am. I've explained this to you. We're kicking around in circles. What you need to do is start packing your belongings.
Another of the squatters thinks there's something wrong with the date of the writ, but the sheriffs have heard enough.
You've probably been evicted by the County Court bailiff, which is a different process than High Court. County Court bailiff will tell you when he's coming and they'll turn up at a date and time. I don't.
Yeah.
That's how it is. I don't.
Right.
The locksmith has gone back to the first door. One of the landlords has arrived.
We can't waste longer to attempt to go in. Is there any way we can smash this and get inside?
Although the police were called by the squatters, the law is on the side of the sheriffs. So now they're going to assist with the eviction.
Yeah, you do.
The locksmith ramps up his efforts. But as the door continues to give the locksmith trouble, one of the landlord's colleagues arrives with something that should help. He has the keys.
This one? I think this is for the front one. Do you want to stick your hand and see if you can open that front one, please? Thanks.
So we're in. So we've managed to open the first door, and now we're going through the shutter door.
The shutter doors are still jammed from the inside, and the police are talking to the occupants. When we return, we'll see what happens when the sheriffs get inside.
Got a legal document to evict you.
Sheriffs Lawrence Grix and Kev McNally are heading down to the seaside.
Nice sunny morning. It's 8:15 and we're going to a garage, Hughenden Road Garage Limited, on behalf of Ms Susan Bodkin, and we're looking today to remove goods to the value of £1,857.90.
They're on their way to help professional puppeteer Sue Bodkin.
And he's called Pirate Pete. My name is Pirate Pete.
She's been entertaining children and adults with her puppet performances for more than 15 years.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. You've got very kind children.
Sometimes she uses an innovative portable booth.
The way my booth's made, I disappear. So they really can create a world of wonder for them. And they think it's much more real than it actually is.
Sue planned to offer more ambitious puppet shows, but for that, she would need transport.
Before, I'd just been using my small little booth, which I could take on a bus or walk about in. And I thought it's about time I make a bigger show and have someone help me. I thought, well, I've only got a small car, so I need to get a larger vehicle. But I actually live on very little money, and I'm on sort of working tax credit, so it can be a bit of a struggle.
Looking round for a vehicle that would fit the bill, she happened to pass local dealers' Hughenden Road Garage when she spotted a bright yellow van.
I was quite excited, but I thought, no, calm down, it might be a wreck. He took me out, the garage owner, and it seemed okay. And it wasn't too expensive.
Loving the van, she paid £400 in cash for it and traded in her old car, making a total of £750 for the van. A big investment on a small budget. She took it home, but just days later, she ran into problems.
I tried to start the van and it wouldn't start, and I noticed the warning light was on, and I thought, oh no.
Sue got the van restarted, but she continued to have problems with the engine cutting out.
I began to get more and more concerned because as I was driving about, the van would suddenly cut out and then I'd be stuck on a roundabout or up a hill, and I felt quite scared in that position because I had people honking their horn, getting impatient, and I thought, I don't feel safe in this vehicle and I won't be able to drive it anymore, and I need to go back to the garage and definitely sort this out for good.
Sue asked Hughenden to fix the van and was told the problem was a fuel filter. She paid £40 to fix this and drove the van away, but it was far from the end of her problems.
The next day it was still as bad. I thought, no, this is not good enough, so I decided to go to another garage and get it fully checked out.
The new garage told her the problem was the engine control unit, or ECU. She went back to Hughenden to demand they fix this.
Basically, he said that he could fix it for me, but it would be another £450. And I said, but if this was a problem, surely you should be fixing it, because I bought it from you and it was only a little while ago.
If the car wasn't fit for purpose, consumer law means Sue had the right to have it fixed or get a refund. Encouraged by her family, Sue contacted Hughenden Road Garage, insisting they fix the faulty van they had sold her.
Every time we tried to contact the garage by letter or by telephone, he just refused to have any contact.
Sue's plans to expand her business had to be put on hold.
And then I was left without a van, and I was devastated because I had no way of doing my work and I had no vehicle to get about.
Sue was left with no alternative but to take the garage to court. Hughenden didn't attend the hearing and a judgment was issued in Sue's favour. The garage then applied to have this set aside, but their appeal was thrown out. But despite the court awarding Sue £890, she's still not been paid. Her only hope of seeing her money now rests with the sheriffs. Lawrence and Kev have arrived at Hughenden Road Garage in pursuit of Sue's money. The garage is full of equipment the sheriffs could remove if need be to clear the debt, but the one thing missing is the boss. A few minutes later, one of the mechanics gets him on the phone.
Hello there, sir.
The garage owner tells Lawrence that he's aware of the debt, but claims he doesn't have to pay it. But Lawrence knows otherwise.
The court ordered you to pay, didn't it, sir? Well, yes, it did.
The owner says he'd agreed Sue would return the faulty vehicle to him, but as she hasn't, he won't pay. This is something Sue Bodkin strongly disputes.
That's not what we're here to sort out today. We have a writ here ordering us to clear this debt. You need to sort this out today, or we will strip this garage bare.
Faced with the alternative, the owner agrees to come down.
OK. Cheers. Bye-bye.
If the owner doesn't pay, gear will be removed, and in a workshop full of tools and equipment, there's plenty of choice.
There's well enough equipment to warrant removing it if needed to be. Hopefully it won't come to that.
And then Kev spots something that chills even a seasoned sheriff.
Freddy Krueger in the corner. Not sure we'll be taking him. Probably quite collectible because it's quite realistic. Collector's auction, he'll probably go down quite well. I'll list their Freddy Krueger down just in case.
The owner's not yet in, but his son is, and he's familiar with the story.
You know about the case, do you?
Yeah, sold the van and about 6 months later the customer went after about it.
Lawrence and Kev have already been at the garage over 40 minutes, when the owner, the man who sold Sue her yellow van, arrives. Lawrence loses no time in setting out the situation.
Bottom line is, Ms. Bodkin got judgment against you, and with all the additional court costs and our fees, it's $1,857.90, which needs to be paid today. If you want to pay us in full, that will prevent further action today.
I can't pay because I need time to sort this out.
If you're telling me that you can't pay it, then I'm going to call in the trucks and start emptying the place now, and it's quicker to get it done now than it is to sort of drag out an argument for 2 hours.
But the garage owner believes none of the goods can be removed.
I can assure you that everything here is personal tools and the rest of it's all on finance anyway, and I've got proof of all finance, and you know you can't remove finance stuff.
If do you want to get your finance paperwork?
I've got all my finance paperwork.
Yeah, do you want to show us that?
I can do, yes.
You can't tell us things, you need to prove things.
The owner phones for advice.
Do you want to go? Yeah, no problem. Go on, I'll just cut the camera.
At this point, our camera is asked to stay outside. The owner says he can't afford to pay.
Guy's just been on the phone to the bank to see if he can get his credit card limit upped.
2.5 hours after the sheriffs walked into the garage, a business advisor arrives at the request of the garage owner. He gets the owner to produce paperwork showing much of the kit in the garage is on finance and can't be removed. But having counted up the agreements, Lawrence believes one of the diagnostic machines is not on finance. He just has to find which one. And moments later, they find the diagnostics kit. They remove it to help repay Sue's debt. Kev's keen to get the machine into the van as quickly as possible.
It's left the premises.
That is on finance. Bring it back.
You haven't shown me the agreement?
We're sorting it out.
My colleague just said, hold up, wait there. My colleague just said bring us back. Lawrence!
Yeah, on me way.
This one going?
Yes.
This one's going, sorry mate.
We've looked at all we've looked at all the agreements and it isn't on there.
So we've just got a bit of diagnostics kit here. Generally quite expensive. Continue to go through the list, see what other stuff they got. Hopefully there'll be some other stuff that we can remove as well, get in the van.
With only one diagnostic machine, Kev and Lawrence are keen to take some smaller items so that their value at auction covers the debt owed to Sue.
These are skates. Put them under the wheels of a car. It's a multi-function fuel pressure tester. Timing tool kit for a Renault. It appears Freddie's coming with us for today. I might put him in the front instead of Lawrence. He'd be more use, wouldn't he? He'd be a lot more interesting to talk to.
Their equipment is disappearing out the door, but Hewenden Road Garage is still refusing to pay. The sheriffs have already been here almost 4 hours. How much longer will it take for Lawrence and Kev to get Sue Bodkin the money she's owed? Back at the squat in Greenwich, it's crunch time. The sheriffs and plainclothes police have been explaining to the squatters that they will be evicted today. The squatters aren't cooperating, and even though the landlord's locksmith has failed to get through the barricaded doors, the sheriffs will get in.
To be honest with you, Conrad, I'm just going to smash it completely to smithereens.
Just smash it a bit. Smash it on the lock side. Just bash it. That's it. Nice work. I've got a legal document to evict you.
Yeah, we are just packing our stuff.
Oh, now you're packing. Now you're packing.
With the sheriffs finally inside, the mood changes. The majority of the squatters realise the game is up and start packing their things.
Now you've got 10 minutes to pack and leave.
The sheriff's job now is to get the occupants packed and out as quickly as possible.
When you pack up, just make sure you've got all your stuff.
Yep.
Because once you're outside, you won't be able to get back inside.
Fair enough.
No problem, thank you. At this stage, they've been quite helpful and they pack up their stuff and they are most willing to leave the premises.
The squatters are cooperating, but they still believe in their case.
rich people have lots of property and poor people have nothing.
The very same
so I believe the law is wrong. Yeah. But I understand that you're saying this is the law and we have to leave and it belongs to this person. I understand.
I'm not in a position to question.
I know you're not because you follow the law. I'm in a position to question it because I've got a free mind.
Come on, young man.
Young lady.
Young lady, come on, young lady. We don't want to be funny about the occupants inside, but it's the state and the condition that they're able to get these properties into causes a lot of financial damage to the owners of these properties.
It's been quite a siege, but now the sheriffs are where they want to be.
We're inside, now we're occupying the premises. They're out and we're inside. All evicted. They're in front of the premises now, obviously waiting to go. But we're happy, we're satisfied, and so is the landlord and the owner.
Enforcement agents, commonly known as sheriffs, can go anywhere in England and Wales to enforce a High Court writ.
Got an High Court writ to attend here today.
At commercial premises, sheriffs are permitted to force entry to remove goods or return a building to its rightful owners.
I'm going to call the locksmith then, sir. Effect entry into the premises and remove all the items.
And with a writ in hand, almost nothing can stop a sheriff.
It doesn't put us down, the writ.
The writ's still live.
Doesn't matter what the dispute is, you have to pay.
Whether he says he's going to go and defend it, it's entirely up to him. He can do that, but today it will need to be dealt with.
Sheriffs have collected almost £200 million of unpaid court judgments in the last 3 years.
That's what we want to see, that coming out the van.
All cleared up, paid in full.
A High Court writ costs £60. If the sheriffs are successful, there's nothing more to pay. If they're unsuccessful, the only cost is a compliance fee of £75 plus VAT for each enforcement.
The bottom line is, I have a live High Court writ in my possession today. The only way you can prevent further action is to pay in full.
Earlier this series, we saw the sheriffs pay a visit to a Leicestershire dentist. He'd borrowed money from an elderly lady for a business venture, but hadn't paid her back.
We're ordered here by the court today to remove goods to the value of £10,706.66.
With 2 sheriffs on his doorstep, he soon decided to pay up, in full. You might have thought that would be the end of the matter, but it isn't. The elderly lady isn't the only person owed money by the dentist. One of the others is IT contractor Andrew Dixon from Kegworth in Leicestershire. Andrew has known the dentist for many years.
I've known him since my late teens to early 20s as my dentist, and he's always been very affable and approachable. I never had any fear with him.
Andrew had been saving for his upcoming retirement, looking forward to spending less time working and more on his pastimes like metalworking. His problem started when, during one of his regular visits to the dentist surgery, they got to discussing a business plan the dentist had.
He was explaining to me that he had interest in commercial property, warehouses particularly, and he was looking for an investment of 100,000. And over time we talked about it, and it ended up I made an investment of 10,000.
The dentist told Andrew he would earn 10% interest a year on his loan and would receive the interest in regular instalments.
He always backed it up with, and of course I have a dental practice that turns over 200,000 a year, so I personally will guarantee this. I never felt my money would be under any risk at all.
Andrew received 2 interest payments and was awaiting his third when the dentist came back to him with another request for money.
He approached me for a short-term loan, 60 days, and allow him to take up an opportunity of buying shares in a vehicle which he thought was going to be very productive and rewarding. I loaned him 35,000, which he said would be useful for the 60 days.
But after 60 days, the promised full repayment hadn't materialised. Andrew chased him up.
He said to me he'd forgotten, and during the course of that conversation he explained that he was struggling to find the money to repay me and would need a few more months before he'd have the money to repay me the 35,000. I'd also noticed that there'd been a shortage of interest payments on the original 10,000 loan. And I realised after various conversations with him, this money was not going to be coming back.
Andrew visited a financial advisor who told him he was by no means alone in being owed money by the dentist.
When I first saw the paperwork showing the amount that was owed by them, I was gobsmacked. Absolutely floored me. The amount my dentist owes, my understanding is it's a figure in excess of 7 million.
Knowing he was one of many owed money by the dentist hasn't made it any easier dealing with the financial impact.
The loss of the 45,000 has meant I've had to slow down preparation for retirement, and it's taken me some time to work out really what I need to do and reassess my whole life.
In an attempt to get back his money, Andrew took his ex-dentist to court. The dentist didn't contest the case, and a judgment was issued in Andrew's favour, but he still hasn't been paid. It's now up to the sheriffs to try and get this money back. The money Andrew's owed may be only a fraction of the £7 million that's claimed by the dentist's creditors, but it's a big total for Sheriffs Daryl Orriton and Mark Povey to collect today. But they've got a good idea of what assets might be available to use as leverage.
We're going to his home address. We know he's got a Jaguar, which we're hoping is going to be on the drive, get that blocked in. Don't think it's a great value. Let's hope we can get into his house, put a bit of pressure on, see if we can get this money raised.
There's no sign of the Jaguar, and it doesn't seem anyone's home. But eventually, Daryl's persistence pays off.
Good morning.
Sorry, but not had enough.
Right. Is he at work? Could you get him on the phone for us?
The dentist's wife tells Daryl her husband has applied for an individual voluntary arrangement, or IVA, a form of insolvency. She says it will be agreed within the week and makes all of his debts unenforceable.
Right, so there's nothing in place at the moment then. You just try and give him a call for me.
The wife goes inside to try and get hold of her husband, leaving the door open. Daryl uses his powers as a sheriff and makes peaceful entry.
Just need to wait in here.
The dentist's wife quickly gets her husband on the phone. He claims he has an interim bankruptcy order that protects him from creditors until the IVA is in place.
He's telling me there's no money available. He's telling me I can't do anything in there because of this interim order, which, if it is all above board, then that is correct.
If the dentist can prove the interim order is in place, the sheriffs will have to stop the enforcement. But until proof arrives, Daryl isn't giving up. He lists goods in the house. Then he and Mark set off in pursuit of the dentist's Jaguar.
We're off now to the dentist practice, and so we'll get there, try and block his Jag in, put a bit of pressure on him in there, see if we can get any money raised.
And arriving at the surgery, there's the Jag. They block it in and head to reception.
See what he's got to say for himself.
But who's that heading inside? It's the dentist himself. Unfortunately, he's also spotted Daryl and Mark.
Oh, he locked us out. That's not very nice, is it?
Morning.
Morning. I've come from my molars to be done.
Have you?
While Daryl tries the polite way in, Mark checks round the back. And with the tradesman's entrance unlocked, he seizes his chance to make his own peaceful entry.
He locked his door.
I think so.
But where's the dentist? He doesn't seem keen on talking to the sheriffs.
Come on.
Sorry, mate.
We'll hang around for a bit, see if he surfaces. Got his car blocked in.
Daryl's not had a hider like this before.
We've had him walk off. You know, leave us in the house, tell us to lock the door when we're done, and do one. But we haven't played hide and seek before, have we?
With the dentist refusing to come out, Daryl makes a call to Lawrence in the office to discuss his next step.
He's done one. He's ran upstairs and hid. Okay, cheers. Bye. Bye. Got the car in, but 04 plate. I'll have a little look on Auto Trader, see what the value is, but it ain't going to be 87 grand, is it?
With the dentist refusing to converse, Daryl and Mark can do nothing else but join the patients in the waiting room. After 10 minutes, the dentist still doesn't want to show his face, but he sends an employee with the paperwork confirming his interim order.
Has that just come through now, or is it? Yeah.
It's a body blow for Daryl and Mark's hopes of getting Andrew back the money that was rightfully his.
No other proceedings or no execution or other legal process may be commenced or continued against the debtor or his property, except with the leave of court.
The order means, for the time being, no debts can be collected from the dentist. It's a disappointing end to Daryl and Mark's game of cat and mouse. The worst news for Andrew Dixon is, it looks unlikely he or any of the dentist's many creditors will ever see their money again.
And I think by the time the bankruptcy process has followed through, I'll have let go fully emotionally and learnt my lessons and get on with things, which I'm starting to do now.
Although they couldn't get his money, Andrew is pleased he asked the sheriffs to help.
They've tried the best, and it's very pleasing to know they've been around rattling his doorknob.
At Hewenden Road Garage in Hastings, Sheriffs Lawrence and Kev have been trying to get payment for puppeteer Sue Bodkin. She bought a van that broke down only days later. Lawrence has been patiently going through all the garage's equipment, removing items that aren't on finance. Now, after more than 4 hours, the garage owner realises the sheriffs won't be put off. Finally, he agrees to pay. The money will be paid on a card by the owner's wife. To make it as quick as possible, the sheriffs, the owner, and the goods are all on their way to meet her.
So we're off to Eastbourne. It's basically to save the effort of the debtor going there and back. We're following them there, we'll take the payment from them there, and then we'll make our way from there.
Finally, they get the go-ahead for the payment. But disaster strikes. The card machine isn't working.
I've literally just turned it on and it's coming up return terminal to base station.
Lawrence thinks the problem lies with the phone mast in Eastbourne. He suggests they all hit the road again in search of a better signal.
What are we going to do if we're not getting a signal? Nothing we can do. I don't know.
But it becomes clear the problem is the machine, and it isn't going to be fixed, so they all pull over.
What I propose we do is we go our separate ways, you make your payment by whatever method, and then we'll bring your stuff back. It's our fault the damn machine isn't working, so, you know, I'll put myself out now to sort it out, yeah?
Lawrence and Kev drive the removed goods away. It's not been a great end to the day.
That's as bad as it could get.
Not an ideal situation. You know, it's the best we can do if the card machine won't work. All in all, really, we were about 8 hours and didn't manage to secure a payment. So we've still got the goods in the vehicle. Freddie has got to stay with us overnight tonight, and I'll be returning him in the morning.
Is that the oddest thing we've taken? It's one of the most
peculiar.
peculiar.
It's got to be getting there, isn't it?
Yeah. You won't.
But the nightmare had a happy ending. Some days later, the garage entered into a payment plan, and puppeteer Sue Bodkin finally got the money that is rightfully hers, in full. Sue is visiting a unique piece by Britain's best-known street artist, Banksy. She's chosen this location because she knows her favourite sheriff, Kev, is a Banksy fan. So was it worth taking her claim all the way to the sheriff's?
It shows that if you are struggling and someone takes you for a ride, that if you find the courage, you can go forward and fight for your rights and get people made accountable. I'm really, really grateful to the enforcers for all they've done. So thanks, Kev and Lawrence.
The garage owner told us that he thought he had agreed with Sue Bodkin that she would return the van to him and he would give her £750 back. He accepted that it was a mistake on his behalf not to have raised this in court, and said he hadn't realised until after the court hearing that Sue had disposed of the van, following legal advice she had received.
The bailiff knock.
For most people, one encounter with the sheriffs is more than enough to make them realise it's better to pay up the money they owe before it gets to that stage.
Oh, you take the
Well, not a pleasure, but thank you very much.
No, thank you very much.
But today, Sheriffs Pete Spencer and Dave Lockwood are going back to the same company for the third time.
On his way to Southern UK Road Services just outside Manchester. The total due today is £1,303.95, and he's been in a payment plan to pay monthly, and he's failed his payment plan. That's why we're returning today to potentially remove goods to the value of, or to collect the balance in full.
Previously, Pete had two separate encounters with the director of a company called Southern UK Road Services. They were there on behalf of a former employee, Leslie Stonier. A court had ruled that she had been unfairly dismissed by the company. A judge awarded her £8,500. When Southern UK Road Services failed to pay, Leslie turned to the sheriffs for help.
Well, listen, I'm a director of the company. I'm now asking you to leave the premises.
Phone the police.
I will do.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. If you want to explain to them when you do phone them that we've got a writ to attend here and that's why I'm on the premises.
Pete found the director a somewhat tricky customer.
So we're not here really to even enter a discussion about how much it's full payment or remove. No, they want to remove.
Pete's tough negotiating meant their second standoff ended with the company director paying half the money owed to Leslie Stonier in one lump sum. Since then, further payments have been made, but these haven't continued as agreed. With the debt also rising through interest and fees, Pete is now going back for Act 3 to get this debt settled once and for all.
He won't be given a final option now to catch up with a payment plan. He's failed that, and that's been his last option now.
Unlike most of their visits, Pete knows the layout of this premises like the back of his hand and can plan accordingly.
There's a locked gate, we've got barbed wire on the top. We may have to get a locksmith to effect entry for us. Might have a problem getting in this morning, but we'll see how we go.
As they arrive, Pete's prediction is proved right.
The gate is shut. We will have to give him a call. Hi, good morning. It's Mr. Spencer. I've been before. He's one of the directors that I could speak to. Are you the guy I spoke to last time when we did the payment? Okay, thanks. There you go. He's going to see if he can find the director, so he's obviously on site, so we'll just wait and see if he appears or rings me back.
As they wait, a man comes out of the office and introduces himself as the company accountant.
That's going to have to be paid today, or else we are removing goods.
He tells Pete Southern UK Road Services only has £30 in its account, somewhat less than the outstanding debt they're there to collect.
I need to come in and see him anyway, so if we can come in and see him.
Pete is less than convinced.
A big company like this has no way got £30 in an account, hopefully.
As they park up, the accountant disappears back into the office.
Can into this door will be locked. Might have the front door locked it behind him and he's locked it again now, so I'm going to have to tell them that they need to be letting us in, otherwise we'll be getting a locksmith. So.
But then the door opens to reveal a familiar face. It's the company director, who has good reason to remember Pete and our camera.
Not on camera again.
That's your choice, but I'm coming in anyway today, whether you let me in or not, so...
Not on camera, okay, because I've got a...
We're told to wait outside while Pete gets on with the familiar task of putting the squeeze on the director.
Obviously, you failed your monthly agreement, aren't you, by the sound of it?
Inside, the director is adamant he can't pay any money and says Pete will just have to wait. He also says the majority of the equipment in the yard is leased through a third party and so can't be removed. This isn't good enough for Pete. He tells the director it's payment in full or removal of goods. The only question is, will there be enough removable assets in the yard that do belong to the company to cover the debt? With the director forced to accept his goods are being removed and realizing this time no excuses are going to prevent it, he decides he's seen enough of Pete and heads off. With Pete satisfied there's more than enough assets inside, it's time to call the tow truck.
After 3 o'clock, we've probably been here about 3 hours now, 3.5 hours. Director's disappeared, so just take whatever we need to take. He's planning on paying in full tomorrow. He's got 5 days anyway. So what we've done is we've removed a forklift truck, some battery-operated traffic lights, a trailer, and a couple of LED screens.
If necessary, these can now be sold to clear what's still left of Southern UK Road Services debt to Leslie Stonier.
Hopefully he's going to pay in full, and that'll be all sorted.
For Pete, with a truck full of assets, it's a case of third time lucky.
He did say before he left he would be paying tomorrow, and he would be getting the goods back tomorrow once he's paid in full. So we'll just have to wait and see if he pays in full or the items are going to the auction to recover the outstanding amount. That's a job well done today.
And despite saying they would pay off the debt the next day to get back their removed assets, Southern UK Road Services didn't. As the assets are too big to move easily, they were sold by an auction house online to raise funds to pay off the debt. So Leslie Stonier finally got at least some. And if a judge says you're owed money, it's the sheriff's job to go and get it.
Hey, all the keys. I'm going to be calling a locksmith.
They can demand payment on the spot.
What can you pay us now?
We're going to get the cash, are you?
Are you paying the bill?
Or remove assets instead.
You've got 30 minutes to make the payment.
We'll start removing stuff from the building.
You'll have a week to pay in full before it gets sold at auction.
Obstructing their work can be a criminal offence.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. Don't lie to me. No mess tins.
Every year, sheriffs in England and Wales recover unpaid debts totalling more than £80 million. Coming up, mother of two, Jenny Walker, was shocked by the state of her new rented home.
I was devastated, absolutely mortified. I just kept thinking, what have I done?
But when she moved out, she didn't get her deposit back, so the sheriffs tracked down her landlord.
Turn off. All right, you don't need to be rude to him.
Tommy and Dave take possession of a fine art collection to pay off a multi-million-pound debt.
She don't look very happy, does she?
But one of the paintings is missing.
The defendant has come and took one of the pictures, and we know that's at least £1 million.
Mike gets tough when payment talks hit a brick wall.
Are you paying the bill? No. No. We'll start a removal then.
Yeah.
And it looks like a car servicing company has disappeared.
Got.
But things are looking up when Jess finally catches up with the owner. Today, High Court enforcement agents Tommy Coyle and Mike Perkins are in West London, and there's a storm brewing.
With wind gusts potentially reaching 80 miles an hour, that will blow down trees. It will cause disruption to power and transport as well.
Despite the weather warning, the sheriffs are hoping today's enforcement is plain sailing.
This afternoon we are in Southall. We're looking for Semi Builders Merchants Limited.
The sheriffs are pursuing a debt of just over £49,000 after a supplier took Semi Builders Merchants to court for non-payment of an invoice. They didn't contest the case, and a judgment was issued in favour of the claimant. The amount owed today is £49,010. Mike and Tommy know from experience that builders merchants are likely to have substantial assets they can use as leverage.
Is that it? That's it?
And it looks like they're right.
That's massive.
There's assets everywhere, mate.
We got loads.
Got loads to go at. There's tons of materials and assets and trucks. Look at the trucks.
But first, they need to find the boss.
Is the director about? It's a High Court order. We're here to execute it, basically, which means we're here to take control of goods, which is remove assets if we can't get a bill paid.
The sheriffs are told the man they need to see is upstairs, in the accounts office.
Upstairs? Who's upstairs?
They don't need a second invitation. They head up in search of the boss.
There we go.
Hello. Hello, sir. My name's Mr. Perkins, High Court Enforcement Agent.
How are you? Here with a High Court order today.
Sorry?
We're here for Semi Builders, the Merchants Limited. We're here with a High Court order for £49,000 that needs to be paid.
It looks like it's good timing.
I'm trying to organise the funds now. This is what's happening.
Is this for this?
Yeah.
He says the sheriffs aren't alone. He's got other creditors chasing him for money, and he's trying to raise funds through an offshore account. But the sheriffs want payment for their claimant today, and that's not looking likely.
Okay, we'll look to remove some of the vehicles and the materials, yeah?
If removal of assets does go ahead, the size of the debt will go up.
At the moment, the balance is at 49,000. If we go to the next stage, it's going to go up to 49,600. Okay, and then when we start removing...
We've been in business for 31 years, we've never...
Yeah, I understand that, but if we start removing goods...
We don't want a problem either.
And I understand that, but if we go to the removal stage, it's going to go up to 54,000.
The director tells them the lorries are on hire purchase, so they're not the property of Semi Builders Merchants. He produces paperwork to prove it. But they aren't the only assets Tommy's been sizing up.
At the moment, it's still the materials.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to see paperwork for that.
You can go and see it.
Yeah. So what have you got paperwork-wise reference? Who owns the stock you've got there, like the bags? Sir?
Look, you have your choice. Yeah?
Well, we need to tell you because I don't want to go removing stuff.
No, you got a choice. Either you got a choice to wait and
they won't wait.
Sir, we haven't got a choice, okay? The option is to you to either pay in full, okay, or we're going to start removing goods. That's it. That's it. It's up to you to make the choice if you want to pay or for us to put more charges on top of the fault and remove goods.
If you try to be arrogant...
I'm not being arrogant, sir. I'm stating
with
facts.
Respect, you are. I'm more worried about people I want to pay others.
Are you going to pay the bill?
I'm not worried about you.
Are you paying the bill?
No.
No. We'll start a removal then.
Yeah.
The negotiations didn't go well. Stated that he wants to pay, but we don't know when he's going to pay. He said that he's got something in for offshore accounts, but he doesn't know if he's going to get the money in for that either. So therefore, we've given him the opportunity to pay in full at the lower rate. He's refused point blank to make the payment today. So therefore, we're going to have to obviously escalate it to removal stage.
With the boss unwilling or unable to make even a part payment today, the sheriffs may have to start removing goods to clear the debt. But before they do, Mike decides to give backdoor diplomacy a go.
Are you the accountant, are you?
He is, and he's willing to help the sheriffs if he can.
How much is in the account at the moment? If we could get half of the bill, then we'll look at doing a controlled goods agreement for the remaining balance.
A controlled goods agreement means assets can stay on the debtor's premises, but they can't be sold or removed until the debt is cleared.
Have a chat with him, just see what you can do.
The accountant returns with good news. The boss may be willing to make a part payment today and then clear the rest by instalments. It's enough for Mike to try to reopen negotiations.
Can I have a chat with you for a second? Yeah. I'll sit down.
I don't want any photographs now, it's finished. No,
He doesn't mind
I'm not going to allow it. Sorry.
At this stage, our cameraman's asked to leave. We continue to film outside. where high winds have blown in dust particles from the Sahara, darkening the sky and turning it red.
Is it got a real funny darkness? Isn't it weird? It's like, mate, it's not the end of the world. What concerned?
Turning to more earthly matters, Tommy needs to quickly start listing assets for a controlled goods agreement. Once the agreement is signed, those assets can't be seized by any other creditor.
There's one forklift that's been mentioned in the office that is clear of finance, so I'm going to go find that now, get that listed down, so we can facilitate this arrangement. There's multiple creditors after this gentleman. It looks like there's a lot of assets here, most of them on hire purchase. So we've got to find this forklift.
Tommy quickly finds the forklift and sufficient other assets, including another forklift truck, and he completes a controlled goods agreement. All he needs now is for Mike's negotiations with the boss to have gone well.
Mike and the director upstairs obviously didn't gel very well. We have a nickname for him, Scrappy Doo, which he lives up to. But he's a great enforcement agent, will always have your back and always great to have with you. So I'm going to get back upstairs now and just make sure nothing's exploded.
Tommy needn't have worried. The boss has just paid £5,000 and agreed to pay the rest off in instalments. Given the multiple creditors, it's a good result.
All sorted.
All I need is a signature there, okay, and you print your name there, please. Thank you very much.
Mike's back on good terms with the director.
In the nicest way possible, I hope I don't see you again, okay?
Take care.
Thank you. Yeah, people call me Scrappy Doo due to the fact that I don't take no nonsense. I wouldn't class myself as arrogant. I'd class myself as blunt and straight to the point.
Turn up here, you think large amount of assets, you think this is going to pay all day long. When you start getting into the details here, so much of the gear's on hire purchase, being all the big vehicles and the forklifts, the hoisters and stuff. I managed to find 2 of the forklifts out the back, so I got them listed down pretty quick. So it's a reasonable result. I do think they'll end up paying this in full as agreed, so we've done the best we can on the day.
Semi-builders merchants have since been clearing the debt at the rate of £10,000 a month. Using the county courts to try and recover money you're owed isn't difficult. 1.5 million money claims are paid every year in England and Wales, involving anything from faulty goods or poor workmanship to unpaid invoices. Claims can be filed online or by post for a small fee. Both parties in the case will be asked to submit evidence, and you may have to attend a court hearing. If you're successful, a county court judgment, or CCJ, will be issued against the debtor. If they still don't pay, that's when you call the sheriffs. It's nearly lunchtime, and High Court enforcement agents Jess Payton and Jamie Wicks are in Peterborough. They're on their way to the pub. They're looking for the pub's landlord, Mr. Colin Payne.
The only information we've got on this at the moment is that the debtor has rung into the office to say that he's aware of the debt, but he's not going to make the payment because he doesn't have the money.
It's a personal debt and nothing to do with the pub, but the sheriffs can visit any address they suspect the debtor lives or trades from.
So I would imagine that asset-wise there'd be more than enough to cover this debt. If it's a tenancy, everything in that pub will belong to him. We've Googled it and had a look at the picture of the pub, and it looks quite a nice pub, so hopefully we should get a payment on this one, and the claimant should be happy.
The claimant is primary school teacher and mother of 2, Jenny Walker. Jenny had been renting a 3-bed property in Peterborough for the past 6 years. But when her landlord decided to put it on the market, she had to move out quickly and find somewhere else to live.
I didn't know where we were going to be. I didn't know whether the children were going to have to move schools or whether they were going to have to live with their dads for a while I sorted something out.
She couldn't find a suitable property, so she decided to appeal for help on social media.
I put a post on a local Facebook page asking if anybody knew of any private landlords.
Jenny was put in touch with Colin Payne, the landlord at one of the local pubs, who had a house to rent.
We met over the bar in the pub and, had a chat about what the house was like and how much it would cost to rent.
He told her the property was in need of refurbishment and that he may not have time to do this before she moved in. Jenny and her 2 children arranged to view the house. Colin Payne met her there and showed her round.
The house was very full up and very dated. He explained that all of his furniture and belongings would be gone. He was hoping to get it decorated, but he wasn't sure if he'd have time. Everywhere was a bit dirty and a bit grubby. It did put me off, but I knew I could fix it. A bit of elbow grease and it would be okay. I needed somewhere to live and I needed somewhere quite quickly. And this was the only thing that had come up, and it was the only thing in my price range that would work.
She agreed to rent the property at £800 a month and pay a month's rent in advance as a deposit.
On the day that I went to get the keys and to move in, Colin said that he would reduce that to £600 because he hadn't had time to decorate.
Jenny says there was no formal tenancy agreement, but despite this, she handed over the deposit and the first month's rent. It was a total of £1,400.
I didn't feel comfortable with moving in with no tenancy agreement, but in the situation I was in, I kind of had no choice.
Armed with the keys, Jenny went to open up her new home. Mr. Payne had moved a lot of stuff out of the house, but only as far as the back garden.
There were rubbish bags and broken furniture outside the back door. And there was broken glass, there was a motorbike, there was a double bed.
With the house now cleared, the scale of what Jenny had taken on became all too apparent.
I was devastated, absolutely mortified. I couldn't believe that somebody would think that that was okay. I just kept thinking, what have I done? What am I putting my children into? I'd moved them from a really secure, safe, comfortable house to hell on earth, really.
Jenny enlisted the help of friends and spent the next 2 days cleaning and decorating.
All my friends turned up and made it bearable. I wouldn't say they made it good because that was impossible, but they got the kids' bedrooms clean and decorated. They got the carpet so that it wasn't as crispy underfoot. They got the kitchen so that there wasn't mould on the walls, and, you know, they made it okay.
Jenny was determined to stay put and make a go of it.
I decorated the whole house, replaced curtain poles, curtains. I'd had the carpets professionally cleaned as well in an attempt to freshen them up somewhat. So I spent a huge amount of money trying to make the property livable.
But 2 months after moving in, Jenny says she still didn't have a formal tenancy agreement, and she was worried about her long-term security as a tenant. In spite of the work she'd done to make the property more comfortable, Jenny reluctantly decided they should move.
I just wanted out. I'd had enough. He wasn't going to do the right thing. I wasn't going to have the security of a tenancy agreement and the legal rights that come with that.
She notified Mr. Payne of her intention to leave.
I let him know at the end of May that I would be moving out on the 1st of July and that I'd like my deposit back.
When the time came to move out, Jenny handed the keys back and Mr. Payne carried out an inspection of the property.
He looked at everything, he checked every room. He said that once I'd paid off any outstanding bills, for example, the council tax and the electricity and the gas, and given meter readings and things over, then he would repay my deposit.
Jenny says she did this, but the deposit wasn't returned.
He wasn't forthcoming, he wasn't answering emails, he wasn't answering telephone calls. It was £600, I needed that £600 back.
Jenny took the matter to the small claims court, but couldn't believe what happened next.
His response to my claim was that I had left it in a worse state of repair than it was when I took on the property.
Mr. Payne said she had spilt paint on the carpets, curtains were missing, and curtain rails were hanging off the walls.
I did throw the shower curtain in the bin, yes, but I replaced it with a brand new one. My friend's husband came round and put up curtain poles that I'd bought for the property, and I did throw a carpet in the bin after a discussion with Mr. Payne about it smelling of cat wee. So yes, I did do those things, but not quite in the context that they were used against me.
The court issued a judgment in Jenny's favour, instructing Mr. Payne to pay her deposit back. she didn't receive the money, and the case was transferred to the High Court, so Jenny could call in the sheriffs to collect the money she's owed.
I watch the TV programmes, and my mum watches them quite a lot, and she suggested that I pay the High Court fee, so I'm just hoping that the sheriffs can do what they couldn't and put an end to it all. They seem to be quite successful, so fingers crossed.
The amount owed today is £1,098. Jess and Jamie are in Peterborough on the trail of Jenny Walker's former landlord, Colin Payne.
I'll say it looks pretty close to me.
Sure, can have a look.
It's just coming up to midday, but it looks as if Mr. Payne's pub is closed.
It's not looking very open to me.
Give him a better one there, Jamie. There's someone in that house.
The lady said it opens at midday nearly every day.
Midday?
Nearly every day, yeah. And it's midday now, so...
Thursday lunchtime, you'd think the pub would be open, wouldn't you?
There's a second address on the sheriff's instructions, so they head round there.
We're going to go round to this other address, which is additional defendant address. So we're hoping he's going to be at home there now as the pub's not open. Otherwise we'll come back to the pub again and wait.
This is the house that Jenny Walker was renting.
Hi, love. I'm Mr. Payton from the Sheriff's Office. I'm looking for Colin Payne.
The woman who answers the door says she's a tenant, and Mr. Payne is her landlord.
He doesn't live here.
I was just the landlord. Oh, OK.
Oh, right, fair enough.
Jamie wants to see evidence that Mr. Payne really is the landlord and isn't living there.
Have you got a tenancy agreement or something like that?
She does, and the agreement confirms she's the tenant and Mr. Payne is her landlord. So it's back to the pub, where Mr. Payne is also the landlord, and where the sheriffs are hoping to finally catch up with him.
We've just pulled back up at the pub and it looks like the doors are open, so we're going to get in there a bit lively.
As they walk in, someone is walking out.
Hi, mate. I'm Mr. Payton from the Sheriff's Office. Looking for Colin Payne?
He's not in at the minute.
OK, we're going to have to come in and wait for him.
It sounds as if this man is another of Mr. Payne's tenants. He lives in a flat above the pub and asks the sheriffs to wait while he takes his dog upstairs.
Dog friendly, is he?
Sorry?
Dog friendly?
Yeah, it's friendly.
You can stroke him, I'll wait here, all right.
If there's one thing the sheriffs aren't keen on, it's a large dog on the premises.
I thought he's friendly.
He's alright, honestly, he's friendly.
The dog's led upstairs, and the sheriffs enter the pub and wait while the man gives Mr. Payne a call.
He's coming back, is he?
Yeah, he's got...
The sheriffs want payment in full today.
OK, lovely job.
And if they play their cards right, they won't have to start removing assets.
It's a pub in like a local area, so it's probably where most people come of a weekend, of an evening to have a drink. If we close the business down, take everything, that's another thing gone, isn't it?
Suddenly, Colin Payne appears.
Hello, mate.
Turn that off.
He's not keen on the camera.
All right, you don't need to be rude to him, he's going to film outside, all right?
I've just asked him to turn it off.
Yeah, here, go outside and do it.
Jess tells Mr. Payne he wants payment in full, today.
At the moment, it's at $1,098.79. If you pay that now, we'll be gone.
Job done.
Job done.
After ringing the sheriff's office earlier to say he couldn't afford to pay, Mr. Payne surprises everyone with a sudden change of heart. He says he'll make the payment in full and has the cash upstairs, ready and waiting.
Straight away, saying, I'll pay you now, I'm going to pay you in cash. So he's just gone upstairs to get the cash. I'm just going to get the receipt book and we're just going to write him out a receipt. Didn't expect that, but hey-ho.
A few minutes later, the sheriffs emerge, clutching a wad of cash.
No, it's windy, so don't lose it.
Oh, we'll lose that though, I know.
It means Jenny Walker will finally get her deposit back. Several months after moving out of Mr. Payne's property and handing back the keys.
He's paid in full. Didn't really climb over it, did he?
No issues at all.
He just said, I want to get it settled.
Good result for the claimant.
Yeah, good result for the claimant, and we're going to the next one now.
Jenny Walker is delighted that all it took for her former landlord to pay up was a visit from the sheriffs.
I'm feeling ecstatic about getting my money back, finally. Because it's been so long, I've paid everyone off anyway, so everybody I owed money to I've repaid. So that's our money now, so it means I can put a little back into enjoyment and leisure that we didn't have before because I was paying people off.
Colin Payne told us Miss Walker had been consistently late with her rent by up to 20 days, and that she refused to sign a copy of the government's tenancy agreement. He said she gave him a few days' notice by text message before moving out, and added that he withheld Miss Walker's deposit because she refused to provide proof that gas, electric and council tax bills had been paid. He said that following the court ruling, the money was made available to Miss Walker, but she wouldn't come and get it. If you have an unpaid debt, you can call in the sheriffs to collect the money on your behalf, as long as it's more than £600. In most cases, the debt is much higher, typically thousands of pounds. But today's different. High Court enforcement agents Tommy Coyle and Dave Steele are in pursuit of a debt that runs not into thousands, but millions.
This morning we're on our way to Bury. Quite an interesting case today, a very high value case in the region of £14 million.
To be exact, 13.9 million.
This case is the largest one I've done in the 11 years I've been an agent. Basically, we're just going out to a gallery stroke museum. They have these assets which are paintings, which are potentially very high value.
The key word here is potentially. The truth is, until the sheriffs remove the paintings and get them valued, they won't really know what they're worth.
We know payment's not forthcoming from being in contact with the defendant, so we're just going to remove the assets, take control of them, remove them, and look to put them through auction.
The debtor is UK-based businessman Vincent Petrillo. He owes money to investors in a high-rise building project in Belarus. They've pursued the debt through the English courts, and a judgment's been made in their favour. The amount owed today is £13,915,537. Mr. Petrillo's apparently in Moscow, but he owns a little-known collection of Russian artwork which is on loan to Bury Art Gallery in Greater Manchester. And that's where the sheriffs are heading.
It could be a real unique, interesting case this today. One being the sheer size of the writ, and two, the amount of value in the assets that we could be removing today.
Tommy and Dave have plenty of experience in removing assets, but when it comes to art, do they know their Rembrandt from their Rubens? Let's start with Dave.
My knowledge of art's probably just above zero. Yeah, painting at school and dot to dot, that was it.
Tommy is a little better qualified.
Oh, I got a GCSE C in art and design.
The sheriffs plan to remove a total of 8 pieces of art. Because their value isn't known, Tommy's taking no chances. He's on hands-free, on the phone to the office.
I won't be letting them move unless they're packaged extremely well. From the value I've been told of them, we're going to be making sure they're very secure. Send me your email address. Once I'm in there, I'll send you some photos.
They arrive at Bury Art Museum. It's closed to visitors and locked up.
Padlock from inside.
Yeah.
But there's to be no battle over entry or assets today. The sheriffs have pre-arranged a meeting with museum curator Richard Burns, who will hand over Mr. Petrillo's art collection. Tommy and Dave are led in through the staff entrance.
Interesting, isn't it?
And after a short wait, Mr. Burns, the curator, and another museum employee emerge with the paintings.
Hello, is it Richard?
Hello.
It is. Hello.
Hi,
Hello,
Richard.
Richard.
You okay?
You're right. Do you want it? Should we just show you some identification, Richard?
Yes, definitely.
There you go.
I'm expecting it.
Okay.
Anxious that these original works of art aren't damaged in transit, the curator gives Dave some advice on how to handle them.
Yeah, needs special sort of packaging on
If you're
them.
stacking, they need to be frame to frame. You don't want to pierce the canvas.
Dave's given a pair of cotton gloves as an extra precaution to avoid damaging the pictures.
Go on, thank you very much.
For insurance purposes, Tommy and Dave need to provide their office with photographs and dimensions for each painting.
And the rear, please.
67 centimetres in width.
In width?
Yeah. By 99 in length. That's the mama.
And that's the mama. She don't look very happy, does she?
One of the 8 paintings the sheriffs were hoping to remove is missing, and it's the one that's potentially the most valuable.
The defendant has come and took one of the pictures, and we know that's a reasonable value, at least £1 million. Does make me slightly suspicious of the value of these, because you'd think he would have took these as well, but all we can do is hope they come back with a decent valuation.
The discovery is a blow for the sheriffs, but as far as the curator's concerned, these works of art are precious, regardless of their monetary value.
Well, they're good examples of mid-20th century modernism with a social history slant. We used them quite a lot during the period of time that they've been here. No, I will miss them, actually, yes. Sorry to see them go.
OK. Pictures of the etchings. It's a bit saucy, that one, isn't it?
Tommy may not have an appreciation of fine art, but he wants to recover as much of the debt as he can, so he's keen to know what these pieces are worth.
Do you have any idea of the value of these?
No. And actually, I wouldn't be able to tell you if I did.
No.
But my idea of value is certainly a lot less than Mr. Petrillo's, I think.
Yes. I mean, if you just to have a guess,
No,
you couldn't do it, no?
Couldn't possibly.
The curator's reluctant to do an on-the-spot valuation, but the sheriffs need to decide how much to insure the paintings for before they remove them.
We still have an ongoing issue at the moment with the valuation to get these goods into transport. Initially, they thought the true value of these could be very high. We still don't know. The only valuation we have at the moment is what the gallery is insuring them for, which is from a date of May 1996, which was for £12,000.
While Tommy and Dave wait for the office to arrange the insurance, they prepare the paintings for transportation.
Wonderful. Thank you.
With the insurance finally in place, Mr. Petrillo's art collection,
thank you very much,
is loaded into a van, ready for the long drive to London, where it'll be put into storage at an auction house.
Pack them like they are worth £1 million. So you're off then?
The goods have now been removed. They're on the way to the auction centre at London to get a better value of the artwork, and we'll know more once that has been completed.
I think me and Dave would both be interested to see what the valuation becomes on these paintings and what they fetch in auction.
Mr. Petrillo's art collection was finally auctioned, but as the sheriff suspected, the amount it fetched fell well short of the millions required to cover the debt. As for Mr. Petrillo himself, it's thought he's still in Moscow and isn't expected to be returning to the UK anytime soon. If you've won a county court judgment and haven't been paid, for £66 you can get the case transferred up to the High Court, which will issue a writ for enforcement by the sheriffs.
Hello? I'm an enforcement agent enforcing a High Court writ.
I'm here just to execute the court order.
They've got more powers than county court bailiffs.
We're going to force entry into the shop in about the next 10-15 minutes.
I have the right, under the writ, to investigate.
If you obstruct myself or my colleague, it is a criminal offence.
And there's no limit to the size of the debts they can pursue.
£14 million. It's the largest job I've ever done.
He can pay it directly into our account from Spain.
If they're successful, they will recover your money and costs from the debtor.
Thanks.
Thank you.
As well as their own fees that are set by the government.
It was that amount there until 5:30. I don't stand here for 3 hours for nothing.
If the sheriffs can't get your money, they'll ask you to pay a fee of £75 plus VAT. The sheriffs are normally armed with a few basic facts in order to execute a High Court writ. A name, an address, and an amount that's owed. But sometimes, like today, a bit of extra background information about the debtor can make the difference between getting payment in full and walking away empty-handed. High Court enforcement agents Billy Evans and Jess Payton are heading for the village of Cottenham, near Cambridge.
We're looking for James Cutton trading as Carmatech. It's a unit on an industrial estate.
Mr. Curran has already contacted the sheriffs.
I mean, he has made a phone call into the office offering a payment of £50 a month, which is not acceptable.
Jess has set his sights a lot higher than that.
We'd like to find the owner there to start with and get paid in full. We've got some phone numbers here as well. If he's not there, we'll make a phone call, get him down there. If it is a body shop or if it is car repairs or anything, there's going to be assets there that we can remove if need be.
In fact, Carmatech specialises in servicing and repairing vehicles of all makes and models. The amount owed today is £2,621. The size of today's debt is more than Jess paid for his first set of wheels.
My first car was a Singer Vogue. It didn't even have letters on their registration, it was all numbers. That was 1982.
Before I was born.
Before Billy was born,
10 years.
As you can see, I'm with Junior today.
They arrive at the industrial estate where Carmatech is based.
At the moment, it's not looking very good. It's all closed up. First impression is not favourable at the moment. It's looking like it's an empty unit.
Jess is right. The place has been abandoned.
Locked.
The sheriffs have the power to carry out diligent searches at commercial premises if they have reason to believe the debtor could be trading from there. So, to find out if the debtor is still trading from this unit, Jess checks the mail, and none of it is addressed to Mr. Curran or to Carmatech.
Let's try banging it just in case.
With no one here and no Carmatech signage, it's starting to look as if the debtor has shut up shop for good.
Absolutely nothing round the back, it's just all weeds, and so I'm going to try his home number.
The sheriffs make several attempts to contact him by phone, but he's not picking up.
I've got two numbers here, I've tried both numbers. The mobile number is answering as Carmatech, and the work number is answering as Carmatech, but basically going to answer machine.
Jess and Billy aren't going to give up that easily.
For all we know, he may have not been able to afford this unit, so therefore he's gone to his home and he could be trading from home.
Because Mr. Curran is named on the High Court writ, the sheriffs have the right to visit any address where they believe he's living or trading from. The problem is, they don't have his home address on file. Billy gives the office a call.
Is there any chance that we can do a quick trace on his name to find a home address that we can do a visit to? 5-10 minutes, yeah, that's not a problem.
Normally, the sheriffs send the debtor a notice of enforcement before they visit in person. In this case, that notice was sent to Mr. Curran's business address, which is no longer in use. They know Mr. Curran has received it because he contacted the office to offer a payment plan of £50 a month. But he won't be expecting the sheriffs to turn up at his home address.
Yeah, shock factor's the best. If you give him any pre-warning, the chances are assets could disappear. Exactly, so it's all about the shock factor.
Jess and Billy finally managed to get Mr. Curran's home address and head straight there.
Right, it's down here on the left, apparently. I'm hoping it might be quite a big house, because these houses are quite big.
Yeah. Keep going. Right, slow down now, rear, in here.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, BMW.
There are plenty of cars on the drive and round the back of the house behind the gates. It looks as if Carmatech and Mr. Curran are still in business.
Hello, mate. Mr. Curran?
The man says he's not Mr. Curran. And he directs Jess back round to the front of the house. And the man they're looking for answers the front door.
Right, Mr. Payton from the Sheriff's Office.
Yeah.
That's Mr. Evans from the Sheriff's Office. OK.
Our cameraman is initially shown inside by Mr. Curran, then immediately asked to leave. We continue to film from the street, while Jess gets down to business inside.
Well, basically, we're here today to collect this debt. At the moment, it's £2,621.81.
Mr. Curran offers to pay part of the debt now, and the rest in a week's time. But Jess has a better idea.
Well, what we're going to do is give you 10 minutes to try and sort things through, make a few phone calls. At the end of the day, you're better off owing them than owing us.
Billy comes outside to update us.
They asked if they can pay a certain amount and then pay the rest off in arrangements. We've told them that they've got a smart car here, they've got a BMW, they've got vehicles out the back, so it's payment in full. So at this moment in time, Jess has given them 10 minutes to raise the funds before we take further action.
But while Billy's outside updating us, Jess gets the breakthrough he's been holding out for.
Can you get a ways to pay sheriff's form?
Jess has just asked me for the ways to pay form, which has all the bank details on how they can make a payment, which would suggest they're going to be making a payment in full.
Inside the house, the sheriffs secure an initial payment of just over £600.
Hiya mate, it's Jess Payton.
Jess checks it's gone through okay.
Mr James Curran. It's a backs payment. He's paid £621 of it. OK, got that, lovely. We're just waiting on the other two. He's got a relative coming over to pay the other £2,000, so they'll be here in a minute. All right, thank you. Cheers, bye.
That's £621 down, so £2,000 to go. Apparently there's a family member coming to the rescue. Right on cue, a car pulls in. The sheriffs are hoping this means the rest of the money is about to be paid.
I've just got to take this into Billy and give him a bit of support in there. You never know.
15 minutes later, the debt is cleared. All £2,621.81 of it, and payment is safely in the sheriff's account. Jess and Billy know that if they hadn't got hold of a home address for Mr. Curran, today might have turned out very differently.
Just having that extra bit of knowledge, thinking outside the box, we've now got a result. It could have been an easy case of going to that address and returning the file, but just doing that little bit of digging has now got us paid in full and one happy client.
James Curran told us Karmatech had made mistakes in the handling of its finances, and measures had been taken to prevent situations like this arising in the future. High Court enforcement agents Rob Foster and Lawrence Grix are heading to Hoddesdon in Hertfordshire.
We're going to Thomas Raymond Butler, trading as Butler's estate agents. He owes a total of £31,181.57, which is an awful lot of money.
The debt relates to unpaid rent and damage caused to a property being let by the agent. Lawrence and Rob both know they'll have their work cut out today.
Generally with an estate agent, all you'll find there asset-wise is a couple of desks, a couple of computers. You may be lucky and find that there's a vehicle there, but as a general rule, this day and age, they're mainly leased.
The most likely outcome is a payment plan which allows Mr. Butler to clear the debt by instalments.
We're not potentially going to have much leverage to force a payment of over £31,000, but we'll do our best. We've got to go in with an open mind, anticipating collecting full payment. It is in the gentleman's personal name, so he may have his personal vehicle outside, which might just be a Bentley.
A Bentley? Now that really would make a difference. The amount owed today is £31,181. The sheriffs find Butler estate agents in a prominent position in the town's high street.
Thomas Raymond Butler?
That's me.
Trace my ID. So my name's Mr. Grix. My colleague and I are enforcement agents.
Yeah.
We're here to execute a High Court writ on behalf
Mr. Butler produces a letter he's convinced will send the sheriffs packing.
That's the latest.
It's a covering letter and an application form to have the judgment set aside, which would mean the case going back to court and being reheard. While Lawrence reads the letter, we're asked to leave, so we go outside and continue to film from the street.
Right, that doesn't stop enforcement action today, sir. The amount outstanding is £31,181.57.
If Mr. Butler's application were to be successful and the writ set aside within 14 days, then any money he paid to clear the debt today would be returned. But for now, the writ must be executed. Meanwhile, Rob has been conducting a diligent search of the office, looking for assets.
On his desk was a set of keys. He's identified it being a Ford Mondeo parked at the back of the property. That's his. Searching through the desk drawers, we found 4 or 5 envelopes stuffed full of cash. Also in that drawer, though, was a Bentley key.
Now, what are the chances of that? But it's not the breakthrough they were hoping for. Mr. Butler tells the sheriffs that although he has a Bentley key, he doesn't have a Bentley to go with it.
He states this is from a deceased friend of his, but won't give us any more information. So we are going to go and have a look around just to see if it is in the surrounding areas. Alternatively, we may see if we can find a home address and see if we can locate it there. Either way, due diligence, we'll go and have a look for it and see if we can locate the vehicle.
It turns out the envelopes full of cash are customer deposits and can't be used to help pay off the debt. Instead, Rob checks the parking area behind the estate agents.
I can't see no Bentley.
But he can see a Ford Mondeo. If only it was the other way around. Rob does an HPI check on the vehicle, and it's clear of finance, but it's in poor condition.
There is significant damage to the vehicle, which is going to hammer its value, but we could be talking £2,000 value for the vehicle.
Back inside the estate agents, Lawrence is listing what assets there are and setting up a payment plan. He wants the best deal he can get for the claimant without putting Mr. Butler out of business.
I checked all the company and personal bank accounts. Mr. Butler eventually managed to pay about £2,000.
In addition to the £2,000, Mr. Butler has also agreed to clear the debt at the rate of £500,
but still not been paid what you're owed.
Why don't you just tell me who you are? This is an absolute crock. You need to pay this.
The High Court enforcement officers are charged by law to recover what a court says is rightfully yours.
I've seized your car, sir.
You can either let us through the door or we'll go through the window.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
It's time to call the sheriffs.
Collected £42,000.
Coming up, pub landlord Graham Short paid £10,000 for wind turbines, which didn't work.
Turbines weren't even generating enough electricity to power a light bulb.
Can the sheriffs get him the money he's owed? Anastasia Gill was promised £1,000 for her half share of a breeding horse, but hasn't received a penny.
I think he just wanted to ignore me. You know, silly little blonde will just forget about me. That wasn't going to happen.
The sheriffs saddle up to get her money back.
OK, we're here today to seize goods to the value of £1,882.63.
And Sheriff Pete's got bad news for an aircraft company that hasn't paid up its debts.
You're not going to be able to leave at the moment. I've just seized this aircraft.
For regular sheriff partners Mark Newton and Tony Smith, it's a very early start this morning. And Tony, for one, is feeling the lack of sleep.
Come on, I just picked the evening. Oh, shut up, it hasn't been cold out. I'm a little bit chilly, so I'm getting old, mate. I'm getting old. And had no tea or coffee.
You could have come down to my room for a cup of tea.
The sun's not up, but the sheriffs are already on their way to their first job of the day. And it's a big one.
We're off to a residential address in Bideford in Devon. We're looking for an amount of £13,500 from a company called Smart Power Products Limited. I believe that this is the director's address. So hopefully he's got some company assets there, or he runs the company from there.
The person they're trying to help is pub landlord Graham Short from Dartmoor in Devon. When he paid to install wind turbines on his pub roof, Graham thought he would be doing his bit to save the planet while also saving money. Instead, it's cost him thousands, left him forced to go to court and relying on the sheriffs for help.
He has put the nail in the coffin for renewable energy as far as I'm concerned, yes. I am very, very annoyed, almost to say furious. You get to a point where you think, why did I even bother to do this?
Graham's trouble started when he decided that given his pub's remote location, it needed a backup power supply.
Being on the edge of Dartmoor, having notorious power cuts in the winter, we needed an electrical backup system which would keep our gas operation system going, because as soon as the electric cuts out, the gas cuts out.
His search for a new energy system brought him to self-styled wind turbine expert Rupert Sweet-Escott, who claimed to have the perfect solution. One which was not only green, but would also, he said, considerably reduce the running costs of the pub.
But we were advised by Mr. Escott, Smart Power Products, that we could save up to 25–30% of our electricity bills across the year. And in this economic climate, you've got to save every penny you can where you can. And if the wind's blowing and it's going to produce free energy for me to use to stay open, then that's brilliant.
Impressed by the figures and by the design of the wind turbine chimneys, Graham was eager to go ahead. He paid Mr. Sweet-Escott £5,000 up front to get on with installing them on his pub roof.
There'll be two towers looking like chimneys on top of the existing roof.
He was delighted to have solved his electricity problems in such a cost-effective and environmentally friendly way.
He seemed a very knowledgeable person and the sort of person that you think knew what they were talking about and could supply you with a product that was going to work. I thought I was going to be happy because soon it's going to be up and running, it was going to be all singing and dancing and lovely.
But as months passed, Mr. Sweet Escott failed to start the job, blaming a series of problems for the delays. Finally, after a whole year, work commenced with Mr. Sweet Escott installing his revolutionary turbines himself, as shown in these photos. Graham paid another £5,000 for the hardware. But when the installation was complete, the long-awaited wind turbines were far from the mean, green, electricity-generating machines he'd been promised.
Basically, they never worked from day one. They would be vibrating and the wind would be catching between the blades, and it would be like similar to a Chinook helicopter going overhead. There'd be a strong thud, 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 thud. But that would be constant all day long. That's all you would hear. Obviously, the main issue was the fact they just didn't work. So we had them tested out, and the turbines weren't even generating enough electricity to power a light bulb.
Rupert Sweet Escott tried several times without success to fix the problems with the turbines. Becoming convinced his explanations for why they weren't working were nothing more than hot air, Graham had reached the end of his tether.
He turned up, he'd do something, it still wasn't right. He'd turn up, do something else, it still wasn't right. So then I contacted him by email and said, look, enough is enough. I want these things taken down.
After talking to the Citizens Advice Bureau, Graham rejected the turbines as being unfit for purpose and demanded a full refund.
I bought wind turbines, supposed to generate electricity. They didn't generate electricity, not fit for purpose. You get your money back. Cut and dried. He did acknowledge the fact that they didn't work, and acknowledged the fact that he did owe me my money back and was intending on paying me my money back.
Graham wanted his ill-fated foray into renewable energy to come to an end. Mr. Sweet Escott agreed to take back his noisy turbines and return Graham's full payment. However, with the turbines gone, Graham's still waiting for his money.
All I have left is an empty roof. My bit towards renewable energy and a greener environment is gone. And I'm £11,000 worse off for it.
Graham's only option left was to take him to court. When the case was heard, Mr. Sweet Escott failed to contest it, and the court ordered he pay Graham £11,280. But since then, he's ignored the court's judgment and still failed to pay up. Now it's down to Mark and Tony to pay him a visit and ask for the money in person. It's still dark when the sheriffs arrive at Mr. Sweet Escott's house. They go and knock on the door.
I think it is. That's quite loud.
There you go. That's their dog.
Mark's knocking has woken up a dog inside, but no one's answering the door. And he's noticed something else that suggests they may have had a wasted journey.
I was hoping they're not away because there's mail piled up there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, and they might have someone come in and let the dog out on it.
Could do, yeah.
There's a pile of mail on the side, but
Is
that
there?
big.
There's no movement at all. I really don't think there's anybody.
With no signs of life from inside, their only play is to list goods which may belong to Rupert Sweet Escott and leave him a notice of seizure. They start with the vehicles parked back down the hill. Mark generously nominates Tony for this.
And then I just run down the stairs and
Run back up?
Yeah. Come on, you need the train and it's good for you.
Then suddenly, Mark hears something.
Oh, well, Tone. Someone here now.
Hello, I'm after Smart Power Products Limited. It's about an outstanding High Court writ that's been...
It's the man they need to speak to, Rupert Sweet Escott. He invites the sheriffs in, but tells our camera to stay outside. Mark gets straight to the point. And with additional interest, court and sheriff's fees, the bill has gone up.
Okay, yeah, it's about a High Court writ that's been issued at 13,500. No? Okay, the situation where we have to start removing stuff if you can't. That's what we're here to do. How much could you do?
Mr. Sweet Escott offers to pay them £500. With over 13,000 outstanding, this isn't going to work for Mark and Tony.
You're going to need, on this, to pay at least half, yeah.
Right, we really should collect the full amount.
We have to collect the full amount.
We have to execute the writ. Because of your circumstances, we're willing to take half.
Because obviously we understand it's quite a large amount to pay out in one lump.
Mr. Sweet Escott maintains he can't afford to pay.
We need to get at least half of this. If we can't get half, we'll have to remove goods. Have you got anyone that could help you out at all?
With the sheriffs keeping the pressure up, Mr. Sweet Escott significantly ups his offer. £3,000.
All right, I'll do £3 now. How do you want to do it? Do you want to do it on a debit card? And we have to take an inventory of your goods, and then we'll...
We won't take nothing, we just have to take an inventory.
We have to take an inventory of everything in here.
Yeah.
To secure the debt, yeah.
Just need you to sign there, just to say we've listed them goods still in property, not removed.
Mark's tough stance has had the desired effect. With night turning to day, they're leaving with money in the bank and an offer from Rupert Sweet Escott to settle the rest of the debt in monthly instalments.
Got a quarter of the debt, yeah. He's not happy, but, you know, unfortunately we've got the writ and he needs to pay that. I wouldn't be surprised if in the pile of letters there is the original court paperwork that he's just not opened and done anything with.
If the defendant doesn't keep making payments as promised, the sheriffs will be back to remove goods to cover the debt. It's been a cracking morning's work for the sheriffs. More importantly, it means Graham Short will finally get at least some of his money, even if he'll have to look elsewhere for an alternative means of backup power.
I'm glad that the sheriffs have managed to go around and see Mr. Rupert Sweet Escott and retrieve at least some of my money, which is a start, I suppose. I feel confident I will get all the money eventually. Now the ball is rolling and the sheriffs are involved in the matter, then yes, we'll keep on top of it until we do get it all. Yes.
And since the sheriffs visited Mr. Sweet Escott's home, he asked to put his side of the story, saying the technology was experimental and early on he had offered a refund.
Of course it's my responsibility. I accept the full blame and, you know, sorry, hands up, I'm sorry, Graham. He did refuse a refund. I said, listen, we're not ready. This product is not ready at this time. You know, which in my book basically means that I can install, you know, I can take my time. I can get it right. I mean, this is the name of the game with new development of new products. It takes time.
Mr. Sweet Escott also explained why he hadn't got the court paperwork earlier.
Nowadays, nobody reads the post. Everyone reads their inbox, or you know, the post is very 19th century, you know, 20th century, isn't it? Isn't it?
Ready for action.
Let's go then.
Sheriffs enforce over 70,000 High Court writs every year. And the sheriff never knows what he's going to encounter when he meets a debtor until he gets there.
Hello. We're going round and round in circles. You do what you've got to do and I'll do what I've got to do.
Some are only too happy to pay up, whatever the size of the debt.
Come on, we'll do it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
We'll leave you in peace.
Lovely.
Others are not so happy.
You're not going to pay a penny? Right, OK, well, we're going to start removing goods then.
Only sheriffs can execute High Court writs, and it gives them more powers than county court bailiffs to enter properties and seize assets.
It is a last resort to force entry. Hopefully they'll see sense and open the door.
The only way you can prevent further action is to pay in full.
If no payment is forthcoming, sheriffs can seize goods to auction to pay off debts.
We'll have the Silver Master and we'll have the BMW and we've got the keys to move the Blue Micra out of the way.
Although removing goods is rare, happening in less than 1% of cases. Hitting the open road today is the Northern Sheriff Brigade, of Pete Spencer, Dave Crabtree and Dave Lockwood, en route to a rather unusual assignment.
Right, we're on our way to Blackpool Airport. It's a company called Aircraft Grouping Limited.
They're visiting on behalf of Steve Halliwell, who paid private plane syndicate firm Aircraft Grouping Limited £6,000 for a share in ownership of one of their aircraft. When the company was unable to fix a fault in the plane, Steve told them he was leaving the syndicate and demanded a refund. After this request was ignored, he took them to court to recover his money. The company failed to contest the case, and a judge ordered them to pay him £6,313. But since then, Steve hasn't received a penny. Now Pete and his team are ready to deliver Aircraft Grouping a runway ultimatum. Pay up, or the company's aircraft will be grounded, seized, and if necessary, removed to cover the debt.
I've got a list of about 8 planes that are meant to be situated at the airport at Blackpool. If we have to, we'll clamp the plane, remove the relevant information that we need to remove. The plane then becomes scrap value. We'll then notify the airport authorities that we've seized the plane and request that they don't accept any flight plans for the aircraft.
Pete's no stranger to airport seizures.
That's one of the planes there.
He knows when you're planning to seize assets worth hundreds of thousands of pounds, you need to have your bases covered.
There's the notices as well for the pilots that we'll go to the cockpits of the planes. I've been to an airport before and know the procedures and what we need to do, and it's pretty straightforward, really.
Airports might be old hat to Pete, but Dave Crabtree's excited about this visit. And eager to get started.
That sign that says Blackpool Airport gives it away, doesn't it?
Arriving at the airport, Pete goes to show security the live High Court writ and explains what they've come to do. At this point, we're told to stop filming and are refused permission to follow him airside. And Dave Crabtree's forgotten something rather important that means he can't go in either: a photo driving licence.
Unfortunately, I haven't brought the correct ID, so I can't. If they need to go airside, I can't get on a plane. Bit disappointing, really, but there you go.
We continue filming from outside the airport fence as Pete and Dave Lockwood appear on the runway. All Dave Crabtree can do is watch as they prepare for some high-level sheriffing.
It's very frustrating, yeah. Especially when they're in there and I'm out here and I can't not do nothing.
With one of Aircraft Grouping's planes about to take off, Pete's arrived in the nick of time. He's got some bad news for the pilot.
I'm not going to be able to leave at the moment. Just seized this aircraft. I need the registration documents can stay with the aircraft, but there's the insurance in here, isn't there? And there's the certificate of yeah.
That's been seized on the paperwork, so there's 2 guys wanting to obviously go for a lesson, and Pete has just approached them and said basically can't take the plane because it's been seized till we sort the matter out. Let me in!
The seizure and grounding of the aircraft certainly shows Pete means business. At this point, a man emerges from a nearby porter cabin and introduces himself as the duty manager of Aircraft Grouping Limited.
Got an High Court writ to attend here today. It's taken it through County Court on the 19th and the 9th for that total. They moved it to High Court, which is obviously where I'm attending from. And the total due they're looking for is £8,054.80. Well, that's what we've come to collect, so how would you like to pay?
The man invites the sheriffs in to discuss the situation. Pete wastes no time in explaining what he's done and what it means for the company's planes.
As you know, as soon as I remove the worthiness certificate, that becomes scrap value.
With well over £100,000 of aircraft now seized, it's perfect leverage for Pete and a big problem for the manager. He asks to make a phone call to let his boss, the owner, know his prized fleet of planes are now the property of the court. 20 minutes later, Pete and Dave Lockwood emerge, having secured a promise from the owner to pay the full amount owed to Steve Halliwell. But until the debt is settled, 3 of Aircraft Grouping's planes will remain seized and grounded, with the crucial aircraft documents coming with them as insurance. It should be plain sailing from here onwards for Pete.
We've left the registration documents in the planes. We've removed the maintenance documents, insurance documents, and the worthiness of flying documents as well, which we'll now send down to the office. I think ideally what he's saying is it's going to be paid within the next 5 days anyway in full, so that's what he's looking to do.
It's been a first-class piece of work from Pete. With the aircraft paperwork now in his hands, it means he'll either get Steve Hallowell his money, or he'll get the planes themselves, with a view to selling them to pay off the debt if necessary. Chocks away. It's early in the morning, and Sheriffs Lawrence Grix and Kev McNally are heading out into the sticks for their first job of the day.
Quarter to 7 in the morning. We're just coming into a little place called Bramley in Hampshire. It's a residential address, quite a nice one by all accounts, and we're looking for a David Johnson. We've got Mr. David Johnson trading as Premier Young stock. He's some kind of horse dealer, I believe.
The latest person the sheriffs are trying to help is aspiring horse breeder Anastasia Gill from Surrey. Anastasia trained as a lawyer before deciding to follow her dream of turning a lifelong hobby into a career.
I've loved horses all my life and have ridden since I was a child. I don't sell every horse I create because I fall in love with them. And you have to sometimes separate the passion and the job. It's hard.
When Anastasia purchased a horse jointly with a fellow breeder called David Johnson, it was meant to be the first stage of a new and lucrative partnership. But instead, she was left out of pocket and relying on the sheriffs for justice. Anastasia got to know David Johnson when she kept a number of her own horses at his stables. This working relationship grew over several years, to the point where they decided to buy a horse together and share its breeding rights. Today she's preparing to ride a friend's horse at a local stables. But 2 years ago, Anastasia and Mr. Johnson's search for a breeding horse took them to a stables in Germany, where they saw a mare that was perfect.
We found Ruby and decided that she was the one, had a handshake, and about 2-3 weeks later she's in the UK and we have ourselves a project.
Together, they paid €6,000, approximately £5,000, for a horse called Ruby, and agreed they would have alternating breeding years with her. It was a simple arrangement, which Anastasia hoped would prove very successful in the years ahead. And everything was going swimmingly, until a minor dispute about one of the other horses David Johnson was keeping for her caused a rift between the two of them.
It was to do with money. It was a very minor situation. It should have been a disagreement which turned into a full-blown argument. I'd never seen the side of him before, and I thought, this is Jekyll and Hyde. You know, I don't know this man, I can't trust this man.
With relations between them having broken down, Anastasia decided their business partnership would have to come to an end.
I removed all my horses from his property within a fortnight. However, I couldn't remove Ruby because it was his breeding year and I didn't have the right to. So she became a problem, and I decided that I didn't want to be part of this, and I wanted the mare sold.
Anastasia visited David Johnson to resolve the situation. He told her he wanted to keep Ruby and would buy her out of the joint ownership. He agreed to pay £1,000 for her share of the horse.
I wasn't going to leave without having him sign a contract, so that was written up. Luckily, there and then, signed, and I left feeling quite confident that we were both going to be happy.
But as months passed, no payment came through. After her numerous phone calls and emails to Mr. Johnson went ignored, Anastasia decided to go back to his yard and confront him. However, David Johnson proved to be in a rather forgetful mood.
He pretended not to know me and not to have ever seen me before, and told me I was trespassing on the land and he was going to call the police.
Anastasia had no way of even finding out if Mr. Johnson still had the horse, which since he'd not paid her, she still jointly owned.
I don't know if he's even still got her. He could have sold her for all I know, because I'm not allowed to go and check up on her.
Anastasia realised taking legal action against Mr. Johnson was the only avenue she had left.
It ends up winding you up, of course, and you get stressed and angry about things. I think he just wanted to ignore me. You know, silly little blonde will just forget about me or give up on me. That wasn't going to happen.
When the case went to court, Mr. Johnson failed to contest it, and a judge ordered him to pay Anastasia £1,150. But since then, he's ignored the court's ruling and failed to settle the debt. Anastasia's last hope of seeing her money now rests with the well-honed persuasive powers of Lawrence and Kev.
It's a residential address, and hopefully at this time of day we'll catch him in. And maybe he'll have a car or something like that that we can seize to false payment.
Lawrence is ready to use all his negotiation skills to convince Mr. Johnson he needs to pay up.
I reckon it's that one on the end. That looks more like a...
No, it's this geezer, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be.
Locating the house, they park up and head in, and early signs are looking good.
Windows are all open.
That light did just come on, didn't it? Or was it on already?
No, I couldn't see that from where I was.
There you go, there's the light come on.
TV's all on standby and windows are all open, aren't they?
Lawrence and Kev can see activity inside, but no one seems to want to talk to them.
Nobody up at the windows, no?
No, nothing as yet.
Yeah, here we go.
And some movement, I think.
Yeah, somebody's just gone into the kitchen. And a dog.
Oh, no. It's your turn to get bitten. Got something here.
Someone comes to the door, but with our cameras in full view, they're not keen on showing their faces. Lawrence has the unusual task of conducting a conversation across a closed front door.
There's my day, sir. Hi there. Looking for David Johnson. There's my day, sir. Enforcement officer. Here to execute a High Court writ. Okay, we're here today to seize goods to the value of £1,882 and 63 pence, or collect payment in full.
To Lawrence's surprise, Mr. Johnson suggests Lawrence takes the horse to settle the debt.
Right, unfortunately, sir, it's gone beyond that. We're here to seize your goods, not hers. If she's got a horse with you, we can't take that because it belongs to her. We're here to seize your goods or collect payment in full. I mean, basically, we've got your car blocked in. We're looking to take the car and trailer at this point in time if we don't collect payment in full.
Seeming to want to show his lack of concern at the sheriff's presence, Mr. Johnson then suggests Lawrence and Kev help themselves to his car. But as enticing an offer as this is, Lawrence would much rather get hard cash than go through the hassle of removing an old Volvo.
What I can say to you is the money's held for 14 days. It's not dispersed. There's something that you or your solicitor has got to do with regards to the claimant.
Finally, ready to discuss the issue face-to-face, Mr. Johnson invites Lawrence and Kev inside, although the invite doesn't extend to our camera. Once inside, Mr. Johnson comes out with something totally unexpected. He admits he should have paid the debt earlier and says he's more than happy to settle it here and now. No fuss, no bother. Lawrence is only too pleased to accept. Kev jumps at the chance of fetching the card machine. A quick card transaction later, a photo for the files, and it's job done for Lawrence and Kev. Are paid in full in less than 12 minutes.
See how easy this job is? Have those starts to the morning. Bosh, get in.
We're off.
Lawrence is understandably delighted.
No, literally, we just went in there and he pulled out a card and paid us. Absolutely simple as. Very, very rare did you get them as simple as that.
Whatever Mr. Johnson's reasons, it's a great start to the day for Lawrence, and an even better one for Anastasia, who finally has the money she was rightfully owed. Her nightmare with the mayor is over.
The news is that all my money plus the interest has been recovered, which is fantastic news. It was more about the principle than the money, if I'm honest with you. I wanted to know that the horse was okay, and I have since found a person who knows both of us to report to me that the mayor is fine. Everyone should know that the sheriffs actually exist and can do this job fantastically well.
David Johnson told us that he had agreed to buy Anastasia's half of the horse, Ruby, but that this was on condition that it was in foal. However, he said that when subsequently scanned by a vet, Ruby hadn't been in foal at that time. Hence, he hadn't paid Anastasia. He admitted that it was a mistake of his not to have paid the court judgment, but reiterated that he had paid in full when the sheriffs had visited. The issue of who owns what is one that sheriffs have to deal with all the time.
Not in his name.
Doesn't matter who they're registered to, it's who they're owned by. So why are they on your forecourt then?
They can only seize what belongs to whoever's named on the writ. And unsurprisingly, debtors aren't the most cooperative people when it comes to helping establish ownership.
There's still assets belonging to the company.
No, there isn't any assets.
With that in mind, Sheriffs Darrell Orton and Mark Povey are in the Midlands, on their way to their latest enforcement.
Yeah, this is an employment tribunal. Gentleman's been unfairly dismissed and he's taken the company to court.
Darrell's going in with a positive approach, but this is a far from straightforward case, with no guarantee of success. The company in question, Level 1 Lincoln Limited, is a security company providing doormen and security staff to venues and events. Given the world they operate in, Darrell doesn't know what to expect when he gets there.
May just be minimal assets of no value. Until we get there, we're not going to realise that.
Keen to find out exactly what is there, they park up and head in.
Hello there. Enforcement officers.
Okay.
Is it you I need to speak to?
What's it about?
Got a High Court writ to execute against Level 1 on behalf of Mr A. Cubison.
Mr. who, sorry?
It's an employment tribunal case.
All right, okay.
We've got a High Court writ, as I just said. We're here to collect £8,900.
At this point, we're asked to stop filming. The office staff, in the meantime, get in touch with boss, Darren Maul, who agrees to come down. 15 minutes later, Mr. Maul arrives in his BMW, ready for a one-on-one face-off with Darrell.
All right, sir.
The clash of the titans continues, behind closed doors.
There's my ID, enforcement officer. Got a High Court writ against yourselves, Level 1, on behalf of Mr A. Cubison. I know it's employment tribunal, isn't it? They've sent us out for full payment or to seize goods to the value of.
Mr. Maul says that the office came furnished and everything inside belongs not to the company, but to the landlord, which happens to be him. Darrell asks for proof.
I can't just take your word for that. If you get me a receipt for that table and those 6 chairs, then obviously we'd leave it.
Legally, it will go, unless you have got evidence, proof there to show us. We've got an hour to provide it. If it's not provided, third-party contractors are on standby to do removal.
Moments later, Darrell comes outside to fill us in.
He's refusing to pay, saying everything is owned by himself, nothing to do with the company. So I'm just going to ring the office now and find out what they want to do. He's saying, if you want to get your vans down here and do removal, then go for it. So I just want to know how far I can really push this.
Darryl and the office agree they must follow procedure and issue a notice of seizure as the first step in this enforcement. What assets are in the office will be the courts on paper, but they'll stay on the premises for now. Darryl suspects what assets there are might not be worth the value of the debt anyway. Darryl informs Mr. Maul of the decision.
These are our contact details there, either email or post. Obviously, if we don't get the proof, we're going to be back.
It's a disappointing end for Darryl, but there's still a chance they can get a result down the line.
At the office, they're prepared to give him a chance to provide proof of ownership to all the goods in there. Well, I believe clearly they are owned by the company. He's got 5 days, he's not going to pay it. I'm sure we'll be back.
As Darryl predicted, despite the seizure notice, no money was paid. So, 13 weeks later, it was time for round 2, as he and Mark went back to Level 1 Lincoln Limited to remove the goods they'd listed. It's a case of deja vu for both the sheriffs and our camera.
No, that's right, I did speak to someone who is there,
Mr. Maul isn't there, and we're asked to leave.
Nothing's been resolved from when we came out last time, because we gave you 5 days to provide evidence.
Then Darryl's given the news that all sheriffs dread. An invoice document proves all the goods do indeed belong on paper to Mr. Maul personally. Even worse, he's told the company that they're after has stopped trading and a new one set up, with Darren Maul as its director, which is now based in the same office.
So what are we saying this is now?
They were looking for Level 1 Lincoln Limited. They found Level 1 Group Lincoln Limited, a different company. Unfortunately, this enforcement is now dead in the water, because as Level 1 Group Lincoln is a different company, it has no connection to Level 1 Lincoln's debts. It's exactly the outcome Darryl didn't want.
All the documentation there is Level 1 Group, which no one bothered to tell us till we've been in there 45 minutes. We're after Level 1 Lincoln Limited, so this ain't going nowhere ever.
Companies being wound up while new companies are set up in the same premises with almost identical names is something the sheriffs encounter all too frequently. Millions of pounds of debts every year are written off as companies cease trading, go into liquidation or are dissolved, with Level 1 Lincoln being another such case. For the sheriffs, it's frustrating, but however much they want to get their clients' money, they must always obey the law. Today, Sheriffs Lawrence and Kev are heading north to Bedfordshire for a showdown with one of the largest adversaries they've ever faced.
We're heading for Luton Airport because we've got a writ against EasyJet Airline Company Limited, subsidiary of EasyJet PLC.
They're attending on behalf of someone owed £1,283 by EasyJet. Small change for a company that made nearly £250 million profit last year, but also a debt that hasn't been paid, as ordered. Now Lawrence and Kev are going to remind them. In person.
The address we've got is Hangar 89, Luton Airport. It is the registered address of the company, so hopefully it won't just be an aircraft hangar. Hopefully there will be some kind of offices there.
They're determined to get the person's money today and will be seizing any assets they can find as leverage, whether it's office goods or an airliner. But the first challenge is finding where they need to go.
I'm here.
Are we?
What hangar are we after?
Hangar 89.
89? Oh, we're
Hangar 22.
We're miles away.
See that, but you can just see the two bits sticking out the pointy
Yeah.
bit of the flat bit. Yeah. There was EasyJet planes out the back of there. So here's my company to land.
There's a jet.
One. Turn right.
Why right?
Come on, just turn right.
Oh, I think you're wrong.
EasyJet.
Where you got? Oh yeah. Gotcha.
Finally, they find an EasyJet sign and an office.
Where am I going to park then? I'm going to make my own space here.
Morning. We're looking for EasyJet Airline Company Limited, Hangar 89.
But the staff inside tell them this isn't the right place. Instead, they've stumbled upon the EasyJet Cabin Crew Training Centre. Luckily, the receptionist is able to point Lawrence and Kev in the right direction.
Do you know where you're going now, then?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. I'm going the way I thought in the first place.
Right,
I told you to turn left out of that junction.
Lawrence looks to make up for Kev's mistakes.
She said, go right up to the terminal building and you've got the orange sign with EasyJet on the roof. Ah, you can't miss that, can you?
Do you mean that?
Yeah, so in here.
With the imposing EasyJet HQ located, Kev uses the intercom to let security know they've arrived.
What am I going to say here?
Well, just say we're enforcement officers.
Hi there, we're High Court enforcement officers. We need to see someone from EasyJet. Bosh.
It's check-in time at EasyJet.
Hi there.
No, it's Mr. Griggs, I'm an enforcement officer. I've got a High Court writ to execute against EasyJet Airline Company Limited. So I'll need to speak to somebody who can deal with that.
Our public relations officer appears at reception to speak to Lawrence.
James, can I help you at all?
Yeah, hi there.
Oh, there you
Would you mind turning that off for a minute, please?
We're asked to leave as she explains someone from accounts is coming down to discuss the debt with them. We continue filming from outside as Lawrence and Kev crank up the pressure.
We're ordered here today to seize goods and potentially remove them to sell them at auction to clear the debt. We did seize an aircraft last week, actually, somewhere else.
Yeah, Jet.
But today, Lawrence and Kev's presence alone is enough, and EasyJet's planes can sleep easy. 3/4 of an hour later, we pick up the action with Lawrence, who, having collected the full amount owed, is a very satisfied sheriff.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, it was paid in full. They did a bank transfer. We asked them to bring a screen grab down, and I checked the bank account, and it was in before the guy even reappeared with the screen print. So, all done, yeah.
EasyJet told us the delayed payment had been due to an administrative error. They added that the matter had now been resolved, with payment made in full. Since Pete visited Blackpool Airport and grounded 3 planes belonging to Aircraft Grouping Limited, the debtor contacted the sheriffs and offered to pay off the £6,000 debt owed to Steve Halliwell in 2 payments over 2 months. However, Steve rejected this offer, wanting his money sooner and in full. If Aircraft Grouping Limited don't agree to this, then the sheriffs will re-attend, with a view to removing the aircraft. Earlier, we saw Sheriffs Mark and Tony visit the home of Smart Power Director Rupert Sweet Escott. On the day, he paid the sheriffs £3,000 towards the £11,280 he owed Graham Short for his ineffective wind turbines. Since then, he's been back in touch with the sheriffs and agreed to pay the remainder of the balance.